which a disclaimer here, most people won't tell you this, but over the road right now, freight rates suck.
Terrible.
They're terrible.
Yeah.
And, you know, we're here as a conversation.
In fact, most of the times, the people that default are the guys with the older trucks.
Really? So a guy or girl in the trucking business wants to finance a truck right now. I mean, what should they do to prepare for that?
Okay, so the first thing is going to be your credit FICO, obviously. The banks, unless you have a credit FICO, which is generally a 670, you just don't qualify. They'll auto-eliminate you, right?
Gotcha.
So if your credit score is below that, figure out why it's not. You don't log into a Credit Karma or get some attorney to see if they can fix up your credit. Today, for example, you mentioned new trucks.
Right. 2024. What's the forecast for people?
Man, okay, so prices have went up and prices have come back down.
Yeah.
We're back to 2019 prices.
Yeah, we are.
For both used and new, and I'd say maybe the used is even below that.
Oh. Hey, what's going on, Mutha Truckers? Welcome to Mutha Truck News. We're out here, you know, hanging out. Where are we? South Florida?
South Florida, Miami.
Oh yeah. You know, I was filming today at the 595, doing my thing. You know, just talking to truck drivers, and then my buddy Bruno calls me and says, "Hey man, how you been?" And I'm like, "Dude, I'm like 30 minutes out." And so I just thought that this could be some good information because there's a lot of new people that want to get into trucking, and some people have the wrong idea. Most banks, private lenders won't even talk to people. And so what I get most, Bruno, is people say, "Alex, no one wants to give me a chance. Why do I have an 800 credit score and I have, you know, I pay my bills on time and I want to buy a truck. I never driven a truck, but still they don't want to give me a chance, right?"
Yeah.
And so I want to introduce my buddy here. You know, this is my guy, Bruno. Private lending. Tell them about your company a little bit, what you guys do.
Yeah, so we've been around since 1995. You know, my dad started the business.
Yeah.
We started as a truck dealership.
Yeah.
After, in about 2008, you know, when the banks weren't lending, we decided we're going to sell our trucks on installments because they weren't financing them. And now that we're, you know, after a while, we did so well with the installment financing that we just said, we're not going to sell trucks anymore. We're just going to finance them.
Got it.
We started here in Florida with the OEMs, Mack, Kenworth, Peterbilt, and we said, let's do nationwide. Today, we focus almost exclusively with OEMs. So the independents, if you're a very good dealer, a reputable dealer, you know, like when you're Fitzgerald, you know, one of the guys that you work with.
Yeah.
We'll definitely work with a guy like that. But if it's a small mom and pop, we don't want to do it most of the time just because we don't trust the quality of their trucks. We need the trucks to be in good shape because trucks need to, if the wheels are not moving, they're not paying their bills, you know. So
yeah, that's true right there, you know. So no, I appreciate that. So tell us in this climate, right? Because most private lenders, you know, like yourself, you don't have the time to really let truck drivers know what is it that you're looking for so that when they are ready to buy a truck, which a disclaimer here, most people won't tell you this, but over the road right now, freight rates suck.
Terrible.
They're terrible.
Yeah.
And, you know, we're here as the conversation, right? If someone is brand new, wants to buy a brand new Peterbilt, $250,000 truck and trailer and get on with no experience, with no customers, and want to finance a truck, I mean, I personally don't think that is a good idea. Now, you coming from the bank perspective, what are your thoughts about that?
Right. So it's been, when was the last time we talked?
Man, it's a couple years. It's been a couple years. Yeah.
Pre-pandemic?
Yeah.
Okay, so those are, for us, the golden years were pre-pandemic all the way up to maybe 2022.
Yeah.
We loved it because the prices of assets were rising, right?
Right.
So we focus on private loans, which deals that the banks can't get done, we'll get them done.
Right.
As long as the price of the assets continue to rise, we have no problem because if customers default, that means the truck's still worth more money. And from 2020, 21, 22, prices were only going up and up and up. Everybody knows this, you know.
They were going crazy.
They exploded.
Yeah.
So those years, we had zero repos. We're in the I'd say private loans, non-bankable, and we had zero repos for 3 years.
Right.
And the reason why is any customer that wanted to get out of the business, all he had to do is raise his hand, put up his truck for sale, and there was 10 bidders, you know.
Right.
They were paying him a premium on what he bought the truck for. So we had many guys that bought a truck, 2 years later used it and sold the truck for the same or more money than they paid for it 2 years ago. It's never going to happen again, you know. Now, obviously, in 2023, we're in a total different scenario. You know, truck prices for the last 12 months have been plummeting.
Right.
So we were careful to do the right trucks, you know, and while the prices were going down. So we focused on the classics. We focused on the trucks that had a lot of value to a lot of guys, like Cummins engines. Try to stay away from the pack cars, no international engines. So we try to focus on the collateral. That's what's really kept us in business for a long time. And today, for example, you mentioned new trucks.
Right. 2024. What's the forecast for people?
Man, okay, so prices have went up and prices have come back down.
Yeah.
We're back to 2019 prices.
Yeah, we are.
For both used and new, and I'd say maybe the used is even below that.
Oh, yeah.
But we're many years later, you know, so but we focus like strongly on the collateral. We really want the collateral to be highly marketable, slow depreciation, and where do you find that? Generally in the classics.
Yeah.
The Peterbilt 389, the Kenworth W900, or any truck with a Detroit or Cummins engine. The pack cars, I don't love them just because for whatever reason, I'm not a truck driver, you know, so I don't know the reason why, but after a couple of years, the truck drivers just don't want them, you know. So to liquidate them, you have to just give them to the highest bidder, and the bids are low.
So right now in this market, which, again, you better have some contracts, you better be in the business, or you better have a way to work this truck, right?
Yeah.
You would focus on the classics?
So let me make a comment on that.
Sure.
In our portfolio, I'm not we don't know much about the trucking spot rates. We don't follow them. We finance trucks, but we do also a lot of more other deals financing, you know?
Right.
So we finance yachts, real estate, exotic cars. But in the trucking division, we've noticed that the guys that are defaulting are not the guys with the expensive trucks.
Right.
You would think that if a guy has a $1,000 payment, he'd be more likely to pay you over the guy that bought a brand new truck that has a $3,000 payment. We haven't seen any correlation in that in our portfolio.
Really?
In fact, most of the times, the people that default are the guys with the older trucks.
Really? So if we're just looking at the data, you find that guys with newer trucks pay their bills on time?
They pay their bills they're way more likely to pay their trucks. And that's why we actually prefer that they buy brand new trucks.
And the breakdowns, right? Because if there's no breakdowns, or better chances of no breakdowns.
Absolutely.
Right.
The number one killer is breakdowns.
Gotcha.
Number one, they don't only know what they're going to pay for the expense, because you go into a truck dealership and they say, hey, repair $6,000. And, you know, a month and a half later, you're at 10 grand, you know, 12 grand. Right. And the guy may not have the money, you know, and you don't know what the bill's going to be, you know, and with the labor rates that today, they're insane, you know. That's the number one reason. Number two is, while the truck's getting fixed, you're earning this much.
That's right.
And your bills are still piling up. You know, your insurance is there. Your mortgage is still getting paid. So if the wheels stop turning, you're out of business. And on new trucks, it's just less likely to happen than the used trucks. You know. And then number two is the contracts. I've seen guys that are right now struggling.
Right.
And then you have other guys that there's nothing wrong with them. They keep paying their bills. They're just like, no, it's just the same as always. And it's because they have better contracts, you know. They're not dealing with a lot of brokers, you know, where they're kind of taking a reduction on the rates. They're dealing with a direct shipper, and they have good rates. You know, again, I'm not the expert in that business, because that's, you know, it's a wild west out there with so many different types of deals that are out there. But I can tell you about our portfolio. It's a misconception for people to think that if you have a $3,000 payment, you're in a lot worse situation than if you have a $1,000 payment. I'm just not seeing it.
Really? So the guys defaulted are actually with the older trucks. Yeah. Wow. So right now, you know, leave us with this, right? If a guy or girl in the trucking business wants to finance a truck right now, I mean, what should they do to prepare for that?
Okay, so the first thing is going to be your credit FICO, obviously. The banks, unless you have a credit FICO, which is generally a 670, you just don't qualify. They'll auto-eliminate you, right?
Gotcha.
So if your credit score is below that, figure out why it's not. You don't log into a Credit Karma or get some attorney to see if they can fix up your credit. Number two is going to be cash flow. You know, if you don't have a steady cash flow, you're just not going to get it. You know, startups, you're not going to get done with a bank on a startup. They're going to look at you and say, this is too risky for us. That's where we come in, you know. And we come in, we want you to have a strong, a late model truck, ideally brand new, and come in with a strong down payment, because this is a new business. It may fail. if it does fail, we don't want to take the hit. You know, that's what every startup entrepreneur takes the risk on. You know,
Right.
There's high risk, but there's also high rewards if you could be successful.
Right. So how much of a down payment would you recommend someone save up? We're talking 25%, 50%.
Okay, so in when we last talked, it was about 30%. That's the average, and that's across the board, not just us as a company. I'd say the whole market.
Right.
When prices shot up and they went from a brand new truck costing 160 to 260.
Right.
We were like, this is crazy. So we were asking 45, 50% down.
Wow.
But we were financing the same amount because, 30% of 160, you finance about 110. 50% of 260, you're still financing about 110.
Gotcha.
So now that the prices have come right back down to where they should be, we're again back to 30%.
I got you. And I guess the big one, the last one to leave everybody with is, maybe by talking to you, we can find out where the money is in trucking. Right now, what kind of loans are you seeing for applications? Is it over the road? Is it local work? What kind of guys are asking you for financing some type of trucking equipment?
Right. So in the trucking business, which is just transportation, it's apart from the dump trucks and the construction stuff, because we do grapple, septic, fire.
Well, let's add all that. Let's add the dump trucks and anything that's heavy equipment.
The sleepers, the tractor trailers has always been the bulk of the business. I'd say 60, 70%.
Really?
It's down considerably in the last 12 months. Just like anyone out there, no one's buying. There's an excess of trucks out there,
You hearing that, guys? So
I'd say our applications have gone down 80% almost.
And I noticed that you're really honest with this, right? A lot of people, they would want to jump on my show and try to promote themselves and say, hey, we'll finance everything, we'll do everything. But, I noticed that you're very honest about, you guys are down right now. Not a lot of people are asking for these loans for over the road. So, and I tell them too, I go, look, guys, right now is not a good time to get over the road equipment, unless you have a business, something that's good, you have contracts, they're growing, right? Besides that, I wouldn't even recommend it. So I could see why your applications are down too, is because the freight rates suck.
Yeah. No one's investing right now.
Right, no one's investing.
And interest rates are high.
Right.
No one's sure what's going to happen, so they'd rather be conservative.
Right.
But there's always movement going on. Trucks are always going out of service, and new ones are coming online. The manufacturers never stop building.
Right.
Again, it depends on what contract you have and your situation.
No, I love it. No, I appreciate it. So at the end of the day, if any truck driver, owner, operator, or fleet, small fleet or whatnot, want to reach out to you, I could put your email or something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Down below.
One thing I also did want to mention.
Yeah.
So regarding the trucks that are getting done out there, there are, in many cases, many models that we just don't do, and not just us. I think most lenders are staying away from this.
Oh, I love this. Tell them.
Okay, so while the banks right now, a lot of banks are just deciding we're not going to do sleepers.
Really?
Just because the default rate is just getting out of control,
Yeah.
Banks don't want to take repos. I don't care at what price. They're not in the business of recovering assets and liquidating. The trucking portfolio is just a very small part of what they do, They're mostly in real estate where all the money's at.
Right.
But for trucks, any lender will want the trucks to hold their value. So focus on the trucks that have low supply, which are, again, the classics, the big horsepower, the big transmissions.
Yeah.
The ones that every truck driver dreams about,
Yeah.
Even back in the days, I remember people used to wrap the trucks with some kind of stickers or paint jobs. If you got the same truck that everyone's got, it's white on white and there's a lot of supply, they're gonna have to just bid and there's too much supply,
Got it. So right now, if you are going to make that investment and buy something that you love, you dreamed of, and there's a great chance there's another driver that would dream of that truck too.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Hey, I appreciate that. Hey guys, Bruno's just a friend of mine. If you guys have any questions, you could give him a call. This is not a sponsor thing. This is not a nothing thing. He'll be straight up with you. And everything that he talks about, it's always about your situation. So, if your credit's not good, get your credit up. If you don't have the experience, get your experience up. If you're not showing enough cash flow, maybe it's not time to be an owner operator yet. So there's a right time and a place, and so we champion people to be successful. The last thing you want to do is jump into a business and get your truck repoed and lose your business, and that's not what anybody wants.
Yeah. It's in no one's interest.
At the end of the day, it's like you and I talked about it. There has to be somewhere underlining where it's a win-win. Everybody has to win. You know what I mean? So, yeah, give my guy a call if you have any questions about trucking and, especially financing one, especially in this time when it's very difficult to do it. And he'll just be real with you. Nah, man, I appreciate that. That's it, man. That's done. Thanks.